we're back with another episode.
All right, welcome back to... Whoa, that was loud. Jesus.
Whoa.
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right, y'all, welcome back to another episode of The Face Off with Fleming and Fowler. This is part 2. We're back at it again. We ain't even going to ask for how our week was because we're releasing
we already
the
know.
same thing.
You already heard the things.
Exactly. All right, so while you were gone, you probably didn't hear about this, but affirmative action got shut down by the Supreme Court, U.S. Supreme Court.
Here's my European privilege. I did hear inklings and I saw things, but I made the conscious choice to disengage because I was out of the country and that means I don't have to subscribe to American politics.
Exactly.
So while I did know that happened, I immediately was not going. I didn't have the bandwidth.
Gotcha.
So you can tell me what happened.
So basically, there were these Asian students at Harvard who were pissed off or something like that, allegedly, and they were kind of upset that people were getting into these schools and they were not. And so they were looking at Harvard University as a catalyst for not selecting them, but we're not realizing that Harvard allegedly has these standards where if you're basically like a Nepo baby or all these legacy baby, these legacy students are getting in and they're not qualified as other Asians, blacks, and whites, whatever. So long story short, they took it to this lawsuit ended up going all the way to the Supreme Court, where the Supreme Court basically said that it is unconstitutional to factor in race as a part of your admissions process. And so affirmative action obviously was put in place to try to make it more equal when it comes to selecting people for jobs and schools and all that kind of stuff, even the military. Now, the only people that have the exception to this rule or to the Supreme Court's ruling is the military. So the military can still use race as a factor to then accept people into different elite schools, like, what is the one called? The Air Force?
It's called West Point.
West Point, yes.
Is that the one you're thinking of?
Yes, West Point.
I think that's
like
Navy. Is that Air Force or Navy?
Either way, it
doesn't matter. I don't care.
So basically, it's statistically known that affirmative action has really never really helped black people. It's only helped mediocre white women get into positions of power. And so now they're going to be forced to rely on their own qualities and qualifications. So if you don't have the grades, no matter how much money you're given, no matter how much this and this and that, if you don't have the grades, if you don't have the qualifications, you're not going to get in and you're not going to be able to use it. So it's really not, they're taking it away and it should have never been in the first place. You should have never had to use affirmative action for this long. It was only supposed to be a catalyst to change the way that our economy runs.
Correct.
And being equal in being able to hire for jobs and stuff like that. It was never meant to be this long of a situation. So
it was an effort right when everything was going on with
civil rights
to be like, hey, yeah, we have to do something because if y'all are going to be in this fucking hole of a situation until we do something, and this is the only thing we can think of right now. Absolutely. I agree. My issue with affirmative action has always been you allow people who are of a disadvantaged situation into these spaces, right? But a lot of the time you do that with no backup help. You're just like, I don't know, especially in kind of spaces like Harvard where it's very elite and it's very backed in money and politics and all of these things. You let these students in, but then like no one knows how to navigate that shit. And no one, necessarily had all the tutoring and the just other things that come along with wealth. So you're allowing these people into these spaces and then like who's making sure that they succeed in these spaces?
Well, I think the bigger problem is this definition of elitism. Like, you graduated from, let's just say you were a PT, right? So you went to UT, which has probably more than likely more funding than Florida A&M University, which is where I went to school.
Correct.
At the end of the day, we both ended up at the same hospital.
Yes.
So who's really elite is my question.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, no person in certain industries, like let's just say in the healthcare industry, because that's where we are. In the healthcare industry, I am never going to say, oh, wow, you studied at Johns Hopkins. I don't care if you went to Johns Hopkins because you're putting that reputation on Johns Hopkins.
But that's because we don't operate in the spaces where it matters.
Exactly.
So no one gives a fuck where we got our degrees.
No, because at the end of the day, we still ended up at the same hospital.
In these like upper echelon of places, it really does matter where you go to school.
But give me an example of an upper echelon place. Because here's the thing. An MBA is an MBA is an MBA is an MBA.
Correct, but the circles you're put in because of where you went to school. True. And all those networking things.
That's the difference.
But I'm saying that comes along with like the different clubs you should join and who you should be affiliated with and
who you have better networks with.
And that kind of stuff. Yeah. But no one tells you that unless you're in these circles. So you're allowing these people to go in and they still don't have a fucking fighting chance to be risen to these other, I don't know. It's not technically a class of citizens, but these other upper spaces because you're just letting them, I don't know.
I feel like it's the opposite. I feel like if you took a person from like an inner city area, right, and they got accepted into Harvard, you obviously have the grades and the mental bandwidth and fortitude to be able to handle the curriculum that you're about to enter into. Mm-hmm. And as a result of that, you're going to be exposed to way more and given an opportunity to now navigate through that world of quote unquote elitism versus somebody who went to UT, right? Like this, I just think that this idea of, oh, I'm a Harvard grad. So fucking what, bitch? We had the same job. So you paid more for your degree and we ended up at the same damn job, no matter if it's healthcare, no matter if it's business, no matter if it's education, whatever the case may be. But I get what you're saying, but I just feel like
it will never make sense to us because it doesn't matter for the shit that we do.
Right.
But for these literally like upper class people,
because there's stupid people who just know how to get through Ivy League schools.
Yeah, and there's just upper class people who where you go to school and all these other fucking innuendo shit that we'll never care about or know. It's so important and means so much shit. Yeah, and I wish I had that problem. I wish I had enough money to have that problem. Nah. I will never.
When I made the decision to go to FAMU, that was the best decision I have ever made in my life, and I do not regret it.
I'm also wondering, like,
first of all, I know I wouldn't have been able to get through some of the other schools because I had too much fun. Anyway.
Yeah. People really want to go to Harvard.
Just buy a shirt. If you got a Cricut, just make a shirt that says you went to Harvard. Who cares? Like, I never want to walk. You know what other shirts or what other schools I want to walk around
with? The ones that want me.
I know. I want to walk around with shirts on from Howard University and Spelman and Morehouse and Alabama State University and Alabama A&M University and Bethune-Cookman University and Florida Memorial and Edward Waters and Morris Brown. Those are the colleges and the shirts that I want to wear. I don't want to walk around with a Yale shirt. I could care less about going to y'all. At the end of the day, whatever industry you go into, if you have to have a license or whatever certification, no matter if you went to a PWI, an elite school, whatever, top 10, whatever you want to call it, or an HBCU, at the end of the day, we all had to sit for the same exams, the same certification exam. If you went to nursing school, I'm a Harvard grad and I went to nursing school at Harvard. Guess what? You had to take the same nursing exam that a person from Alabama State had to take. Yeah. From a person from FSU had to take.
They're just put into spaces where they make more money and connections and have better jobs.
Not
than
really.
A lot of people. Yes, really.
I mean, well, in certain industries, I would say.
I think that's what it is. I also think Harvard's like the Beyonce of colleges. Like, people hear Harvard growing up, You
don't think Brown or Yale is better?
I think Harvard has the name recognition of being Harvard. You're a Harvard grad.
Stanford,
I went to Harvard.
Princeton.
And it's all the people who went to Harvard always telling us they fucking went to Harvard. But it's just like this big name and people know you're super smart if you go to Harvard, which isn't necessarily true, but it's very hard to get in and it's elite and prestigious. So people are just like, I want to go to Harvard. I'm like, well, it's so expensive.
I want to go where it's cheap.
Yeah. I think, though, if you get into Harvard and your parents make less than a certain amount of money, you get a full ride.
Oh, that's good.
I think my mom told me that.
That's good.
I was like, well, I could have gone to Harvard. I couldn't have gone to Harvard.
No, definitely not.
Never. But
no. I wouldn't have paid attention enough.
Was affirmative action doing that much today?
No,
like in the last 10 years.
It was only helping white women. It only helped to elevate white women.
I was listening to an interview.
Mediocre white women at that.
This black woman who was probably in her 60s. And she was like either an engineer or in medicine or something. But she was saying we had our time for affirmative action and we tried to do as much as we could to elevate ourselves. She's like, if it hasn't worked for y'all by now,
it's never going to work.
It's never going to fucking work.
Absolutely.
There's got to be other things. So...
Well, this is why you have discrimination in the workplaces. This is why you have a lot of companies who, in spite of affirmative action, they have set up these very systematic, oppressive type of work cultures. Because yes, we're going to let you get a foot in the door, but then when it comes to promotions, when it comes to leadership opportunities, we're never going to give that to you because this is the loophole. Technically, we're not discriminating against you because we let you work here, but we're never going to elevate you, even though you're more qualified than some other people who are sitting here with you. But we're never going to elevate you, and that's where you cannot unfortunately control the affirmative action part of what it was meant to be. Mm-hmm. But I agree. Affirmative action was only meant as a catalyst for change. And it was supposed to lead us into this new generation of not caring what the color of people's skin is and not discriminating. Because again, they show you these pictures of these, acceptance letters from 1945 and 1950s where they're like, well, unfortunately, because you're a Negro, we can't accept you into our medical school. And it's like, that's just blatantly discriminatory.
Well, and I'm sure at the time they were like, well, shit, we have to do something. What can we do? And they're like, well, you have to at least let them start coming in. Exactly. So they're given a chance to like, okay, well then we're going to say that a certain amount of people have to be minorities and that probably made a lot of sense.
And then you get funding for it. But let's not talk about the funding that comes with that. There's a certain quota that these schools have to meet, diversity quotas, where they're given money. We think Ron DeSantis in Florida is just like, well, we don't want to teach diversity. No, you don't want to give schools money for having to have diversity anymore. That's where it comes at. You really think this? Yeah. Now, yes. Do I believe that Ron DeSantis is a racist? Absolutely. Allegedly, just for the protection of the podcast. But at the same time, these laws that they are putting into place, it all goes back to money.
Money's everything.
If you get quotas, FSU, Florida State University, for having black students there, the only way that I no longer have to fund you is if I get rid of the whole system of diversity and inclusion. And I'm going to say on the back, so we don't need diversity. It's woke culture, because he loves to say the word woke, even though he doesn't know what the fuck it means, you dumbass bitch. Anyway, but still, that's how they get away with it. And because you think women's rights and having abortions and all that kind of stuff is about the actual abortion itself. No, it's about the funding. Because some of these hospitals are government funded. Mm-hmm. It's about the funding, but it's also about preserving white supremacy at the same time. But anyway, but I think that's literally where it comes from, is that the diversity and inclusion portion is really about no longer wanting to fund diversity and inclusion. So, but now they're going to expose themselves that their children are really dumb. When you got people like Lori Loughlin over here sitting here, paying money for your for your child can barely get
that.
Listen, okay?
That was a whole time.
If you got to pay to get your child in a certain school, your child is stupid. Like, do the work. Instead of lying, you're doing all this, spending all this time lying on an application when your child could have just joined the same sports that she claimed that she did. You could have legit just studied and did volunteer work or whatever the case. But also, too, college is a trap. And the minute y'all kids figure that out, y'all ain't gonna want to go no way. Just buy the t-shirts. Anyway, other than that, student loans. Speaking of
traps.
So Joe Biden, promised us. You promised us, Joe.
Byron.
We were all rooting for you. He promised that he was going to forgive all these loans, blah, blah, blah. But he did it through a particular act that the reason why the Supreme Court, he had all these lawsuits against him. The reason why the Supreme Court was like, hey, no, we got to strike this down is because he did it under the guise of this particular area, and that was not his area that he could do it in. So anyway, Joe Biden was like, okay, since you want to do all this fuck shit, don't worry about it. I'm going to come back through the back door another way, and I'm going to forgive $39 billion for only 800,000 people. And I'm like, first of all, that's a shame that 800,000 people have $39 billion of student loans. Like, not even like home debt, credit card debt. No, you only got that in student loan. Not even 1 million people got $1 billion in student loans. That should tell you something is off with that. So apparently he's going a different route or whatever. So starting this week and next week also too, that there should be people who are getting their loans forgiven or whatever, blah, blah, blah.
But yeah, I'm all for it. But Joe, maybe get me out of this fucking recession. Maybe let's lower the fucking interest rate so I can refinance my house.
Joe's like one thing at a time.
Yeah, because I know you're not going to forgive my personal loans.
He's 80. He can only do one thing at a time.
Give me something. Throw me a fucking bone, Joe. I got to buy a car.
You really do. You listen, you done had too much fun in Europe. You done forgot about all your responsibilities at the house. You're like, goddamn.
I came out, I'm like, interesting.
I got to do all this stuff in my house.
Yep.
I'll tell you what else is interesting, though. Speaking of colleges and schools, the amazing, prestigious sorority of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated has now created a new credit union with the intent of expanding Black wealth and things of that nature. I think they're the first sorority or fraternity to, I think, I'm not an AKA, so don't come for me. Allegedly, I think they're the first Greek organization, probably Black Greek organization to create and own a bank of their own. So, and it's not, I don't think it's just for AKAs. They just own a Black, credit union. But I think that's amazing that they opened that up, and that just shows how Black women are just amazing. I mean, what else is there?
I would agree.
Yeah. So anyway, I'll tell you what's not amazing. Unfortunately, our the writers from SAG and the SAG actors and all that, AFTRA, blah, blah, blah.
Screen Actors Guild. Screen Actors
Guild. And so the writers, as well as the writers, have been on strike, I think, for about 75, 76 days, something like that. And then the actors are actually, they just went on strike on Friday, July the 14th.
That's going to slow production.
Well, apparently this is the second strike, or the first strike since the 1960s when they both went on strike together.
Oh, before. Really?
Yeah, because I think the writers go on strike more often.
Because the writers are like, fuck this, and the actors are like, we just want to keep acting.
Right. But I think a lot of actors are writers, and so that's why they kind of have to be on the picket lines together. But Fran Drescher, who played on The Nanny, more famously, she is the president of SAG-AFTRA for the union.
Really?
She is. And let me tell you something, that character was literally just a character. Because when I tell you she coming for all their heads, I love Fran. That. She was, the thing is, with everything that's happening with streaming services, the industry has changed as far as these contracts and what you can get for residuals and stuff like that, right? So you make a TV show, even though you may help write it or you may not, whatever the case may be, you do get residual checks. So let's say the cast from Martin, y'all get residual checks. The problem is if Netflix and Hulu puts Martin on Netflix and Hulu, they are not getting residual checks for that, allegedly.
But people are watching that.
But people are watching it.
Being streamed.
Exactly. And the streams are getting them paid, but not the actors and the writers and the crew members who are a part of that whole process.
They just get one check from the show being sold to the network.
Exactly.
Okay.
And if Martin is not playing on CBS on TV, CBS and stuff like that, then of course they're not getting paid for that, the cast and crew, whatever their contracts are. And the contracts are having all these addendums, but they're not changing the culture. And especially even too with AI, with them being able to do all of this different stuff without them and automate it, that's what they're really fighting for. Because a lot of people, I saw this video from Amanda Seales this week. And Amanda Seales, she hit the nail on the head. I am not in the acting industry whatsoever, right? But as a consumer, you can't help but to know certain things, right? So a lot of people a lot of actors in Hollywood have the appearance of being wealthy. And we think that a lot of people, because we see them on a syndicated show, that they got all this money, right? But we've seen time and time again where you have one hit show, and then after that, you're like, where did this person go? Yeah, you went back to working a regular job. Like years ago, this one person tried to shame Elvin. I can't remember his name. Jeffrey Owen, I think this was his name is, who played Sandra's husband on
working at a grocery
store, right? And she tried to shame him, like, this is where he landed. No, this is what happens when you don't have regular work. Like, actors are just contractors. That's all they are. Yeah. They get in a job for a set amount of time, they get a set amount of money, and then they move on to the next job. There's no different from them being a traveling nurse. It's no different from them being a traveling therapist. You're a contractor for this amount of time. Yeah. That doesn't automatically guarantee you money. Just because you're known and you're famous, it doesn't automatically make you financially stable. And Amanda Seales brought up that good a great point, that she was like, she's been an actor since she was 8 years old. And how she landed her job on Insecure, that at 35, that allotted her the opportunity to be financially stable at 35.
Damn.
Like, and you've been working in this industry for 8 years, and she's been on MTV, she's been on VH1, she's had her own Sirius radio show. Like, she's everywhere. And the fact that at 35, and she's not 35 anymore, obviously, but because Insecure was like, 5 years or whatever?
Yeah, it's on Netflix now.
Exactly. So is Issa Rae and them getting paid for that? Yeah, for the streams?
Issa maybe,
because she may have done her contract that way, because she has an overall deal with HBO. But does Amanda Seales and Yvonne Orji and everybody else, are they all getting paid? You know what I'm saying? So, and that's what they're fighting for. And I think it's amazing that they're fighting for that. But of course, these greedy companies are just like, well, we're gonna hold out until they start losing their homes. And I'm like, y'all.
Especially since Netflix, y'all greedy ass hoes. I just had to get a separate account because I was on my mom's Netflix account.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get one too.
And I had to get a separate one.
I'm not getting it. I'm going to find a way. I'm going to go on the dark web and figure it out.
I believe. If there's anyone who can do it, it's you.
I mean, I'll try it. This is why they're trying to cancel TikTok, because they're trying to show us. Anyway. But yeah, it's crazy. I agree with the strike, though. And for these people, for these new content creators, let me just help y'all. Don't be out here scabbing. And if you ain't ever heard what scabbing is, that means that you're crossing a picket line. So that means that when, they start to, now Hollywood starts to call on the people who they weren't calling on before. Like, hey, do you want to be in a movie? Hey, do you want to write? And you cross that picket line. Just know and understand that in order to be a SAG and AFTRA member, union member, if during a strike you have ever, that's literally in the fine print, if you have ever worked during the time of a strike, you will not be allowed to be a SAG member in the future.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, baby. They don't play.
Wow.
You cross them picket lines if you want to. So all these new content creators, it's like, oh, well, Angela Bassett ain't working right now. Issa Rae ain't working. I'll get out there and I'll act. Yeah, and that's going to be the last time you're going to do it, too. Because once this strike is done, you're going to be blackballed. So you get out there and you scab if you want to. Be very careful. Support the strike. So anyway, Kaiser Permanente actually went on strike, too. Their people went on strike. That's like a big insurance company. Some of their people went on strike. There's a lot of people going on strike. Nurses are going on strike.
I heard the flights aren't flighting.
Yes.
But I don't know if that was a strike or if they're just pissed and no one's showing up to work.
United Healthcare, I think. United Healthcare, Lord Jesus. United Airlines, I think, was the one who went on strike. Some of their pilots were out there picketing. And I thought it was like 12 people. No, bitch. It was a shit ton of them pilots. I was like, God damn. So, yeah, they need to be paid better. It's sad. Anyway, what were you telling me about IG? Or Instagram with Threads?
Instagram launched Threads probably like last week, the week after, which is its new Twitter-ish platform that reached like 1 million subscribers in probably like 11 hours, something crazy. I don't think any other social media site has done it. So, of course, Elon's pissed.
Yeah.
And I don't know if people are actually going to make the jump. I feel like Twitter, as crazy as it's gotten, it's been like a pillar.
It's the foundation.
It's the foundation. People are still tweeting. So, and I still don't know how the fuck Threads work. It was so complicated to me. I don't really know. It literally looks exactly like Twitter, just on Instagram.
I'm not joining another social media site.
It's too much. It's too much. Also, I don't need to see your tweet on my like stories. I don't want to see it there. Also, the people listen, Twitter is for the comedy, right? People are writing funny shit on Twitter. So unless all those funny people decide to bring their asses over to Threads and everyone gets on board. Yeah. Because I've been fooled before. I thought TikTok was going to be a flop, and it is not a flop.
No, it is not.
So maybe this will be like a phoenix from the ashes or something situation, but I'm not a Threads girl.
People were talking about this one app called Spill, and Spill is like supposedly, allegedly a black-owned, like, Twitter kind of situation. That. However, somebody already exposed the owner. He's white. So, allegedly. So I was like, so much to spill. Anyway.
Black created, white funded.
Exactly.
Probably.
So, and it was kind of like the same thing how, what was the one app where people had to get invites in order to, or they had to send you a code or something and you only get so many codes. And I'm like, why the fuck are y'all doing shit like that? Like, if you want people to Clubhouse, that was the one. If you want people to join your
thinking of house party is what I'm thinking of.
Okay, not one of those, but people were like, oh, well, you can only get on Clubhouse if you got an invite. Do you think that your app is going to survive when you do stupid shit like that? Like, whose idea was that? Like, yeah, we'll make this elite. Bitch, no, you don't want to make anything elite right now. Twitter was not elite when it first came out. Facebook was, and Facebook, how long did that last? Maybe a year? And then they were like, all right, your grandmas can get on it now.
Yep.
Exactly. So I'm like, y'all are stupid. But anyway.
I think they said Twitter's going to sue Meta.
Why?
For the threads.
You can't sue them.
I know. That's just what the
this is what I'm saying. 2 billionaires going at it for no fucking reason.
Y'all are bored.
Leave us the fuck out of that shit. Y'all
go to space and leave us alone.
Go on another submersible and get the fuck out of here. Anyway.
I still cannot believe that happened, and I have not collectively with the rest of at least the U.S. watched something closely like that since like the Casey Anthony trial.
Damn, that long?
I think so. Like.
Wasn't OJ before?
Oh no, and I guess we all watched the Amber Heard trial. We'll do Amber Heard.
Yeah.
But I was in fucking Europe getting updates on this shit because I was like, where are we? How much oxygen do we have for these idiots who decided to go on a fucking submarine?
This is why I don't even care about it. Nope. Here's the thing. You know what? I was having this conversation with one of my coworkers, and I was telling him, I was like, this is why billionaires become pedophiles. I've figured out the reason why. The reason why they become pedophiles is because they're bored. When you get so much fucking money that regular human shit is not appealing to you, that's when you know you need to just lose it all and go bankrupt. Okay? There should be, you know how like at the very end, like with Mario Land or whatever, Mario World, you can only get so many like extra men and shit, or you can only get so many lives. At a certain point, bitch, you can't get no more lives. After you hit 99, bitch, you can't get no more. And I feel like you can only buy so many cars, you can only buy so many houses, so much land, so many buildings, do so many business deals. Then you start going over to Africa and trying to kill the one last white albino lion ever on earth because you just want the bragging rights. Then you're like, ooh, well, let's move on to kids. Let's see how many kids I can trap. Let's see how many people I can put in bondage and slavery. And, ooh, let me get my cheap ass on a goddamn plastic tube and go down to the bottom of the ocean, even though we don't still have never explored the bottom of the goddamn ocean.
That's why a lot of y'all talk shit about Leonardo DiCaprio because he fucks these fucking 20-year-old models
Allegedly.
while he's listening to a podcast.
He's bored.
The man's bored.
Do you know
he's
how much
done it
sex
all.
that man has had? Probably
All of it.
He's probably had all of the orgies, all of the like.
He's like, I might as well learn something while I'm here.
He's probably had everything allegedly shoved in his ass or in his penis.
He's bored.
He's bored. Like, this is why socialism works. Listen to Bernie. Bernie 2020.
Take the money, eat the rich.
Yes, because you got too much.
I just can't
it.
believe he forced that little 19-year-old boy.
He didn't force him. He had to go. First of all, anybody that comes to me and talking about let's go and you got a Logitech controller in your hand, you got a fucking problem. Everybody knows Logitech don't work.
We have not discovered an ounce of the ocean.
We've only discovered 5%.
We don't know what the fuck. If there's aliens, they're at the bottom of the ocean. You know what the fuck's down there. Also, the pressure. I hate the feeling of pressure, like when you're in the air, when you're whatever. Can you imagine the pressure that they felt?
And you fired the safety guy. You're a billionaire and you fired the safety guy?
Who probably said, hey, don't do this, not safe.
And that's why he got fired, because he spoke up. And now look at
a whistleblower. We love a whistleblower.
It's crazy.
Did you hear the guy they interviewed that was like, I was supposed to go on, but I got a little nervous? Yeah, no shit.
Yeah, thank God.
His wife was probably like, fuck you.
Our life insurance ain't updated yet.
I was just going to say, I hope they all had really good life insurance policies.
I hope they did too. I really hope they did, because that was just crazy. But that's white people shit. Black people ain't going to do nothing like that. Anyway, did you what were you talking about? Juvenile, the rapper.
Juvenile was just on Tiny Desk, the NPR internet show where they do like acoustic-ish versions. Everyone comes on and sings songs. We're big Tiny Desk people over here.
Yes, we are.
That show was. I need a Juvenile resurgence. It was so good.
Yeah,
it like filled a void I didn't know I needed.
You know, I really think that Tiny Desk is really replacing Versus.
It is. I think it's a good. Let's see. It used to be a little bit more of not as well known people, true. So you could kind of get to know their music, which was fun. Mm-hmm. But in the last couple of years, I feel like it's been more like big names kind of making returns or coming back, and that's been fun too because it's like people.
What's your favorite Tiny Desk so far?
Ooh, I love Meg Thee Stallion's Tiny Desk. I also love everyone loves Mac Miller's Tiny Desk. I also love Mac Miller's Tiny Desk. Usher's was great. Watch this.
My favorite one thus far, obviously, besides Brandy, let's be clear, she's the queen. But my favorite Tiny Desk so far has been Duran Bernard. You should know who he is. He dressed his whole crew as from the Proud Family.
Yes, I did see that.
That man, I'm sorry. He blew everybody else's Tiny Desk is down here compared to where his was. First of all, the creativity. The vocals ate the entire time. Yeah. Like, I was just like, why did somebody record this and put this on an album and to sell it, like, literally?
And it's so cool because you can really hear their voice. Yes. Right? It's a more intimate setting. Mm-hmm. And they sometimes do different stuff with the music. They slow it down. They speed it up. They have other people come in, which is really cool.
Absolutely. And it shows the true musicianship of these artists.
Lizzo's was great.
Lizzo's was
Chica's
really
was great.
Good. Chica... Listen, I'm so pissed at Chica that she changed her name because I still know Chica as Oriniku. That's who she started off as.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, she was Oriniku, and then they made her change it because people were having a difficult time saying Oriniku.
It's a pretty name.
I love Oriniku, but then she changed it to Chica. She just got out. I think she is still in the hospital or just got out. She was having, unfortunately, some issues with kidney failure.
Oof,
I think it was.
Yikes.
Allegedly, so prayers up for Chica. But yeah.
I love a Tiny Desk. But yeah, if you haven't seen the Juvenile Tiny Desk episode.
It's really good. It was really, really good.
And everyone can remember how much they love Juvenile.
Yeah, true. What were you talking about the ESPYs? Did you watch the ESPYs lately?
Love the ESPYs.
Cool beans.
It's always such a fun, it's just like a bunch of fucking athletes and rappers at an award show that they actually attend,
true.
You know?
Very true.
It's like if BET could be better and stop bringing on like random ass TikTokers and YouTube stars, I think the BET Awards could be more like the ESPYs.
But I think that the BET Awards used to be a very like prestigious type of
until they start
show.
Inviting these fucking crazy people.
Well, I don't even think it's that. I think they're trying to keep up with the times, and when you try to keep up with the times, that's how sometimes in certain areas that's how you fuck up, because the Oscars haven't kept it. They don't do that. No. You know, the Image Awards hasn't done that. They stay true to who they are. It's like the social media shit. Keep that on the 5:00 p.m. part of the show. Yeah. On the pre-show. Don't put it on the main stage.
Yeah. Well,
but then we don't have the hip hop awards anymore, so they have to accommodate for that too.
I love watching the SB. Did you see Lil Wayne perform?
No. I mean, I saw that he performed, what was it, a Millie? Was it a Millie?
He performed a Millie, but he changed some of the words to be about sports. So it's like he talks about Angel Reese and all this stuff. It was just fun. Savannah came out with the kids because they were honoring LeBron, which was cool. Mello got some kind of award.
Oh yeah, because he retired. He's like the Charles Barkley of the new generation. He never won a championship, unfortunately. But he's a great player for the most part.
So I just like watching the ESPYs. It's always fun.
Angel Reese won for College Player of the Year, whatever.
As she should. And I hope she should be getting paid for that shit too.
She really should. First of all, I love the fact that now college students are getting paid, but I also love what Rachel? That is not her name.
Who the fuck's Rachel?
Angel Reese has done for women's college basketball. She hasn't done it by herself, but when you have to understand, when you're a face of something, you're bringing notoriety and you're bringing attention to it. And the fact is, nobody can deny that Angel Reese has brought an attention to women's basketball, specifically this year, that has not been done before.
Because she's doing all the like swagger and the aggro shit that the boys can do that everyone watches, and that they always told the girls not to do. Don't do that. We're not going to do that. She's doing it, and that's why y'all want to fucking watch.
Exactly. And also too, I think the biggest boom that we had since before that was when Dawn Staley came back and started coaching women's basketball and won the championship for South Carolina. And everybody was like, oh, we got to watch South Carolina. Yeah. And then Aaliyah Boston and Asia Wilson and all these other women, during their time, obviously gave notoriety. But the fact that more people watch the girls' March Madness than watch the boys.
Because it's better.
Because it is. And it's always been better. And I love the fact that even LeBron James at the very end, he gave props up to Asia Wilson for winning WNBA Player of the Year at the ESPYs, as well as encouraging and doing kind of like a call to action for the men to start watching these games. Because the fact that these WNBA players are making $50,000 a year, and it's like, okay, Flau'jae and Angel Reese and all them probably making millions of dollars right now. And then when they go to the WNBA, you told me you got to take a pay cut for $70,000
to reach my goal. Listen,
I'll be a sixth player or 6th year in the damn That's stupid as hell. That makes no damn. And you can't say you don't have the money, because you do. You got the money. They don't even let WNBA players allegedly charter flights. They over here with the regular population take on Delta. Comfort Plus.
They can't even get a gym.
You can't even get what the hell?
A workout room.
Makes no damn sense. But anyway, congratulations to all those ESPY winners. I love that. What were you talking about? Speaking of kind of athletes, what were you talking about the Olympic doctor?
Larry Nassar got his ass jumped in prison.
Good job.
And that's all I have to say about that.
I love that for him.
No,
he got stabbed too.
He got stabbed too. It's not that I forget all these horrible things that these horrible men have done. It's just that it consumes the media, and then once they go to jail, we kind of back off. And so there's these little pleasant if I was going to be reminded about him being in prison,
that's the way to do it.
This is the reminder that I want. Not that he's on probation or parole or that. So, he
has 191 years. He's not getting out.
Easy.
But I speaking kind of piggybacking, not off that, but just off Olympic gymnasts. Have you seen that Gabby Douglas penned a letter that she is coming back to gymnastics?
Shut the front door.
I love that for her. I don't know.
Did you ever watch the Gabby Douglas story? It's like a Lifetime movie. For some reason, it always plays at the Dry Bar. And
it was beautiful.
Every time I have to watch it.
Simone Biles had a really good one too. Their stories were very kind of similar, but not. I mean, obviously, her mom was not on drugs. Gabby Douglas's mom was not on drugs, allegedly, but I'm saying allegedly because Simone Biles' mom allegedly was on drugs. Anyway,
thank you for clearing that up.
But yeah, I love that for Gabby Douglas. I feel like Gabby Douglas, has had a rough run the past few years, and people, it's almost kind of like the rap industry. How Nick, you had Queen Latifah and MC Lyte. They tried to pin them against each other, and MC Lyte and Queen Latifah was like, "Fuck no, we're sisters, we're good." Then you had the Missy Elliott's and the Eves and the Lil Kims and the Foxy Browns, and then you had the Nicki Minaj and the Cardi B's and all them. And you're always trying to say, "Oh, there can only be one woman at a time." And I felt like they did the same thing with Gabby Douglas and Simone Biles. That as Simone Biles was coming up and winning everything, they were like, "Oh, look, Gabby Douglas doesn't look happy. She's not standing for the national anthem."
Those not terms, but like those 2 Olympics back to back where it was all those girls, it was like candles in the night, like a fucking, they were just like everywhere all the time. We loved it. And then they're just nothing. We never heard from them. They never loved anything, which is so weird because I felt like with Shawn Johnson, which was way before that, everyone kept her in the media and she was doing all this other stuff and we always talked about her.
Well, because Shawn never said no.
That's true.
She never said no, and I think that's why she ended up getting injured. Like it's the same thing of Dominique, not Mucciano. Who was was it Dominique Mucciano? What was the one girl on the U.S. Olympics team in 1996 who broke her ankle?
It was 2 years old.
But okay, never mind. But anyway, she said she didn't say no, and after she ended up ruining her career. Like after she did the not the balance beam, whatever the damn thing was that she did. She landed. It's the horse or whatever.
The pommel horse.
Pommel horse, yes. And so she had already fractured her foot, and it was at the very last minute, so she couldn't say no, and she wanted to win that gold medal. Well, that was the end of her career, and so Shawn Johnson unfortunately had a career-ending injury as well too. But I think the fact that Simone said no, it is, and the fact that we know that as professionals, that when you have an inordinate amount of stress all the time, it alters your body. Stress can kill you, and the fact that Lord Jesus, what's her name? Simone Biles.
Did Simone Biles say no for mental health?
She did.
Okay.
And people were like, how dare you get here and you take a spot from somebody else? You're on the biggest stage and you're not winning. You're not American. You're not patriotic. And I'm like, this girl is trying to live. She got a whole ass life after gymnastics. Her body's not going to be able to do it forever.
Can you imagine being the family or a close friend of that person? I'd be like, fuck this.
Fuck the world.
Fuck everybody.
Don't do it. Because she could have literally tried to go for a particular jump and could have came down and landed on her neck and killed herself.
I remember. Okay, she was like, mentally, I'm not in it.
Yeah, she's like, I'm in my head and I'm going to injure myself if I do anything.
What a mature decision to make.
That's brave.
A lot of people would have been like, it'll be fine. When you've been doing something for so long and you're that good at it, I'm sure it's easy to be like, it'll be fine. I just got to get out there.
Yeah.
Fuck no. It's one wrong. That's your neck. That's your life. No.
Well, even Gabby Douglas, for her, like during that time, it appeared as if she were struggling with something, but to me, I felt like she was more so probably struggling with the fact of just, it appeared as if the world were against her and just trying to pin her and Simone Biles against each other. She's like, I just want to do fucking gymnastics. Black women
be good at the same thing.
Exactly. And she's like, I just want to do gymnastics. I'm here. Like, I don't have a problem with Simone Biles. Me and her are friends. Me and the other girls are friends. I'm older than them. I'm not going to do the same thing that these 14 and 15 year olds are going to do. I'm 19 years old and still in this. Like, I'm a grown ass woman, and so I think for her even too, you got to get away mentally sometimes to be able to come back, bigger and better than ever. So I love that for her.
Have you been watching Wimbledon at all?
Yes, I have.
Okay. I never really watched tennis, but I've been following this because I was in Europe, so I had to watch it. Seeing them get into their heads and just like seeing it unfold and then missing shot after shot, it is the most anxiety-inducing thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah, because people don't think it's real, and it absolutely is real.
Because it's just like, once you start, it's the mental talk, the negative self-talk, and you're like, should I miss another one? And I miss another one, and I miss another one. And you can just see them breaking down.
Well, this is why even too, you can have basketball teams, football teams who are not as skillful as other teams, but then they'll still come and beat the biggest and the baddest team, because what they do is they get in the heads of the other team. And if I can knock you off your rocker and I'm so confident and I make you feel insecure, you're gonna mess up everything. Even though skillfully on paper you should be able, you're bigger, you're stronger, you have more access to resources, you should be able to do all of this stuff better than me, but I've gotten in your head now.
Well, and it's just so crazy because like gymnastics and tennis are solo unless you're doing doubles.
True.
But you have no one. It's like, it's you. It's all you, and everyone's watching you. And if you fuck up, that's you. Because if you're on a team, you could be like, it was him, it was me, we have each other, whatever.
Yeah.
I could never.
Well, even for, Serena and Venus, I remember Venus one time was playing and she was going for some shot and she screamed out so loud and had like an injury to her abdomen. And I think it was like the first set, and she was just like, have a great day. And she was like, bitch, no, this is my life. Nope, I'm not doing it. Even Serena Williams has done that. She's gone to the bathroom, come back, and she's like, thank y'all for coming out. I'm good. Like, dude, your body.
Speaking of injuries, did you see that Priscilla Presley, is that the one that just died? Lisa Marie Presley.
Lisa Marie Presley is Elvis Presley's daughter.
Lisa Marie Presley passed away recently, correct?
Like a few months ago.
Okay. She had 30 feet of necrotic bowel.
Same way her daddy died.
I was like, what
Allegedly.
The fuck?
Yeah.
That's crazy. Sorry, I saw that the other day.
This is why, I don't know, a gastroenterologist tell us, are colonics really that good? Should we be going to getting colonics?
Any bowel stuff is it's like the worst pain. And I hate treating people with bowel pain and stomach issues because it's just an awful, you don't even have a tummy ache and that shit ruins your day.
Well, because your gut is the epicenter of everything.
I know. So I had 30 feet under
like our brains are important, yes. Our hearts are important, yes.
The microbiome.
But you fuck up that gut, baby, your whole brain and heart are shut down.
Oof. Yeah. So take care of your gut.
Seriously. Last thing real quick before we're going to go. I can't talk today. Words are hard. We're going to go into the rehab corner real quick. Did you see the plastic surgeon TikToker that actually got her license permanently revoked?
No, but I'm interested.
So apparently there's one plastic surgeon, I can't remember her name, but anyway, it's not important. But she was live streaming her plastic surgeries. And I think she was doing it allegedly without consent from these patients. And they permanently revoked her license. And apparently
Dr. Roxy,
yeah, she's on she's from Ohio, and yeah, so she was basically live streaming on TikTok these plastic surgeries. And so apparently there was one other patient that she had allegedly who got botched like a few years ago. And so she sued this doctor and won her lawsuit. And so after she got her license taken away permanently, she was at the courthouse and she even said, she was like, "Hi, Mary." And Mary was like, I just want to see the look on her face when I wanted her to be the first one that I saw. So that way she knows that she got her license taken away. But yeah, her license has now been permanently taken away.
Also, you had 100,000 followers, which means these 100,000 people were just watching you film these people who didn't know you were filming them.
That's crazy. That's why I'm like, with Dr. Miami, I'm like, I just don't like that. Like, I like the fact that doctors are more relatable, but I do not like sometimes the patient and doctor content, especially when you're in the OR. Because I just feel like that's not a space where we need to be. And then when some shit pop off, then you can't undo that. You can't untake it, because whatever you put on the internet is forever. You know what I'm saying? And so I don't know that I like that.
I just need everyone to understand that for the most part, operating rooms,
they're supposed to be sterile.
They're supposed to be sterile, but also just like, I feel like people think they're these really serious places.
They should be.
People are just fucking around in operating
They're
room.
playing music,
joking, talking about what they're doing. It's just like an insane thing to witness. And I think you're in your head are like, oh, I was a very professional doctor. These nurses are going to be in there. It's going to be this, because that's what you see on Grey's Anatomy. Yeah. It's tense. It's quiet because they're operating on.
They're in the gallery watching.
Absolutely not. It's just another day in the office for these people. So.
And you're trying to keep up, and that's not the way to keep up. You should have got a social media manager who was going to help you do TikToks or whatever that's relatable, and not actually showing people's blood, guts, and all that other kind of stuff. Like, that's insane. And that's why this one particular doctor, kind of piggybacking off the next one, our next subject, or our last subject that we're going to talk about, maybe not unless you have something else. This one doctor called for healthcare workers to now have to wear body cams, and she's actually trying to get legislation passed and trying to move up the chain of command to try to get healthcare workers to have to be mandated to wear body cams to try to prevent racism.
To the doctors, so you can actually count how long they're in a patient room.
Well, I think, okay, here's the thing. I don't see that there's anything wrong with body cams as a healthcare worker. The reason why I say that is because I personally don't think I would get fired for my actual patient care.
I need no audio.
No audio.
I need no audio.
And not the stuff that I say to patients, because I don't say wild stuff to patients. Sometimes it depends on how difficult you're being. But if it's like the stuff that I'm getting ready to go into a patient room or coming out of a patient room.
Talking yourself into it.
And I'm just like, oh, Lord Jesus, I don't want to go in here and see this motherfucker. Goddamn, how many more patients I got left? Okay, 23 minutes and we in and out, But I'm not calling patients names. No. I'm not saying racial comments and stuff like that. Discriminatory. I'm not doing any of that.
It would be great to be able to watch back the crazy shit that happens.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything wrong with it. It's just going to be like another fucking thing.
It's just privacy, obviously, because if we do clean up patients on our...
Half my patients are ass naked.
Exactly. And so we are seeing a lot of body parts, genitals and whatnot. So that would be the biggest thing. You would try to have to figure out a way to blur it or put it as a part of the medical record, like how they do with wound care when they're taking pictures of the wounds. So you would have to kind of do it like that. But I also think too, patients would not agree to being filmed.
No, I think it's a good way to protect safety. Us more than them, because I feel like crazier shit happens to us from the patients than...
You think so?
I think there's more reporting that goes on of like abuse in the hospital in terms of like we hear more of the stories of like a nurse did this, a doctor did this.
Yeah.
But I think on a day-to-day basis, more hospital workers are being abused by the patient, like getting hit by a patient, absolutely. That kind of shit. So I'm saying the body cam would be good to be like, no, this motherfucker just hit me.
Mr. Johnson punched me in the face and it's on
proof.
camera.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. We as healthcare workers, we get beat on all the time.
Yeah.
But I also think in the grand scheme of things, to catch some of these, especially in some of these smaller facilities, these skilled nursing facilities, these nursing homes, you do catch a lot of elder abuse. It's ridiculous. But like I said, I think it'll just be the stuff that we say, like even if it's like a demented patient and we say something like a joke or something. Because
sometimes you just have to listen.
You just got to keep going.
You got to keep, meet them where they're at. You got to enter in. You may say some shit that I don't think it would be passable now. But hey, you're now a World War II vet just like this guy.
Like a patient said to me one day, a couple weeks ago, he was just like, I went in with an OT, and so he was just like, well, I know you ain't gonna have no problem lifting me up. And so I said to the patient, well, sir, you're not a size 0 yourself. You pretty big, you bigger than me. He was like, but I'm the patient. Yeah, I know. And you still big.
And we know why.
So big boy, help me out. Okay, I'm a big girl, you a big boy. Let's go.
Trendelenburg this bitch.
Exactly. Like somebody said something like that. It's like, we weren't calling the patient a bitch. The bed was broken. And we were trying to put the patient back in before they fell. So
what a job.
Yeah, I think in healthcare, more people would get disciplinary action based off what they say, not directly to patients, but each other.
My body cam footage all day would just be people on bedside commodes and me just sitting there being like, you good? You need help?
My body cam footage would be me saying, all right, we're going to do some longer quads. 1, 2, 3. Go slower. Go this way. Mr. Johnson, no. Come on. Don't put your hand there. Get your hand off your penis. It would be so annoying that they would be like, we don't want any more body cams from any more PTs or OTs. We don't want it.
In ARU, my body cam footage would be me staring in the mirror as they're taking a shower because I'm fucking bored as shit.
And you know how I pop off in songs. Into the thick of it. Into the thick of it. Meanwhile, a whole Code Blue is going on and Monica's just sitting here dancing. Exactly. I break off into song and dance very quickly. So yeah, my body can
ask my patients. I'm like, oh, while you're showering, do you want to listen to music? And they're like, no. And I'm like, well, I do. So
we're gonna listen to music.
We're gonna listen to what I listen to.
Or if I'm telling patients, do you want to die today, Mr. Johnson? Get out of this bed.
The best would be when they're about to code, but they haven't coded yet, or like when they're passing out and shit, and you're like, oh, you're fine. Like you can see it in your eyes. It's not fine, but you're telling the patient it's fine. I would like to watch that back.
Absolutely. Or us running down the hallway with a patient who's coded.
True.
With their balls in the air because a nurse decides to put their legs up. You got to elevate the legs. You got to elevate the legs. We can do without the legs right now. This patient is dying. Can we just run back to the room? But anyway, so yeah, we'll see if healthcare workers actually get body cams. I doubt it, but we'll see. Who knows?
I'm sure the hospital doesn't want to be responsible for that shit.
But I don't think you're going to have any patients that are willing to participate in that. Yeah, they're not going to want to be recorded.
Have consent, right?
Yeah.
No, but I bet you they would make it into be like, okay, if you want to be here, sign over this consent.
Somebody's going to sue. Somebody's going to sue whatever law this is, and they're going to take it up to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court is going to side with the patients.
Supreme Court's been busy the last couple of months.
Well, they have been. I thought, Katandra was going to save us all, but goddamn, she's overpowered. She's outnumbered. Anyway, well, anything else you need to talk about before we get out of here?
No. I'm so happy you guys have us back.
Yeah, seriously. I know y'all Tuesdays have been so boring without us, but we're back, and we're better than ever. So, new and exciting things coming at you down the pipeline, and we're going to continue at this until y'all get us to a place where we no longer have to work our full-time jobs. Thank you in advance.
Amen.
Anything else?
Nope, let's get out of here.
Y'all have an amazing week on purpose. Y'all remember to spread love.
Spread light.
And don't forget to laugh your face off.
Oh.
Totally forgot that was the whole time.
Okay, anyway, so much for tuning in to another episode of The Face Off with Fleming and Fowler. Don't forget to follow us on all our social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube at The Face Off Pod. Be sure to tune in to The Face Off every Tuesday where new episodes are released.